Hi there, I'm Richard Hill, the host of eCom at One. It's been a while, but you'll be glad to know we're back with episode 205. In this episode, I speak with Jacques Van Der Wilt, the original CEO and founder at DataFeedWatch, which is now part of Cart.com. Whereas Jacques on the podcast way back on episode 150, but we had to get him back on to talk about AI and data feeds. When I think of feeds, I think of two people. Jacques is one of them, and the other one, you'll have to listen to this episode to find out who that is. We talk how AI differs from traditional methods of data feed optimization and what are its key advantages for online businesses. How can marketers use AI to simplify their feed management tasks, and can AI help with disapprovals? We talk AI hallucinations and how can small to mid-sized retailers leverage AI-powered data feed management to compete with larger e-commerce players. And of course, so much more in this episode. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe or follow button wherever you're listening to this podcast. So you're always the first to know when a new episode is released. Now, let's head over to this fantastic episode. Hi, Jack, and welcome back to the eCom at One podcast. How are you doing?
I'm great, Richard. Good to see you. Thanks for having me again.
I know.
On One podcast.
Yeah, I think last episode was 150 you were on. Obviously, that's almost, I think, getting on for 18 months ago. A lot has happened. But why have you decided to come back on of all the podcasts that are out there?
Well, I got two excellent reasons to come back, Richard. One is, of course, because I love the eCom One podcast, right? What's better than to appear there? To appear twice. So that obviously is a primary reason, although I have a very good secondary reason as well. We've got great news at DataFeedWatch.
Oh.
And the news is we launched AI-driven feeds. And this is a first step of something huge that is really literally going to change the landscape and the way that advertisers look at feed optimization and all that. So yeah, it's a big step. And I'd love to share that with your viewers and listeners.
Oh, thank you. I think it's a very, very, very hot topic, feeds, but then feeds with AI, very exciting. I think, something I know that our feed team are very excited about. And, I've been working with some of your team already, over the last few months on some of the AI stuff. So how does AI differ from traditional methods of data feed optimization? And what are its sort of key advantages for the businesses that are listening?
Yeah, well, first of all, we have embedded AI in the existing DataFeedWatch functionality, right? So there's not like there's DataFeedWatch and hey, there's like AI on the side where you need to do stuff anyway, and then no. So you can still go into DataFeedWatch, you can optimize your feed, and then for a lot of fields, you have the choice whether to do the manual rules-based optimization, right? Like to combine the brand and the title and the color and the size into a single title for Google or Facebook, or to say, why don't I let AI optimize it, right? So we have automated manual labor tasks that you would usually have when optimizing a feed. And by letting AI do it, it's not just going to save you time, but there's a lot of knowledge that you need to have, experience to do proper optimization of some of those attributes. And you may not have it, and AI does, right? So it's fully embedded, it's fully automated. It means that you don't need to write or modify your own prompts to get the right outcome. There's no separate settings for AI. Basically, you say, okay, optimize with AI, save, and we're done, right? And best of all, we have embedded it into DataFeedWatch, but also at the same price, right? So you're not going to pay extra, make use of this functionality while you keep full control, right? So AI can optimize your titles, right? So title optimization differs per type. There's best practice for every one of the, let's say, the 200 subcategories in the Google text, right? The combination of our 15-year experience and AI has led to a superb AI optimization of titles and descriptions. You don't have all the colors or sizes in those fields, but you need them. AI will go fetch them from other fields and fill them out. Do you really like categorizing your product? No, you don't, right? Let AI do it for you, right? So basically, what you get by using the existing AI functionality, the embedded AI functionality in DataFeedWatch, is that you're going to get a better, higher quality feed in way less time.
Yeah, nice.
And no tedious jobs, and what have you. That is the promise of...
Very exciting, isn't it? When you think about some of the sizes of catalogs, obviously we deal with, and obviously a lot of manual work required to match things up and create, thorough feeds to be able to basically simplifying things, isn't it? We're simplifying those feed management tasks. You talked about color, size. I guess it also helps with things like disapprovals as well, reducing things like that.
Absolutely. Disapprovals is like the number one nuisance. Even before you think about, oh, damn, I should have like better titles. You're already like annoyed by the fact that with disapprovals, because you're selling apparel and you're missing colors. Bang, disapproved, right? So basically with AI, you can take the feed quality to the next level. I mean, the feed is still the foundation. Nothing changes. Every campaign that you create in Google Ads, Facebook, any other channel is built on a high quality feed. The higher quality, the better your ROI. So AI will help you to get better quality in less time. Now, if you have the perfect feed already, AI is not going to help you.
Mm-hmm.
For the other 99%.
I see what you did there. Yeah.
So, look, retailers are busy bees. They have their fingers in like everything. And my favorite saying, maybe sounds strange for a feed guy, is no one gets up in the morning to optimize their feed.
What, even you?
Not even me. People get up. Well, maybe me is the only guy. Being a core business. People get up. Retailers get up in the morning and they can say, "I'm going to sell more today than I did, the same day last week, right? Yeah. I'm going to go into my Google Ads account. I'm going to optimize it. I'm going to make more money, right? And if it's not the retailer, it's his agency. Yeah. And then this feed stuff, everyone understands it's foundation. It has to be good. It's not like a one-time event. It should be updated every day, every week with new products, with new strategies, with customer, all of that. But, it's something I'm going to have to do in order to take the next step. So, as a retailer, you want to make sure that all the data, all that valuable data that you have in your store is being reflected in your Google feed. Yeah. And I'll say Google feed, but then I mean a feed for like another channel, right? So we have auto mapping, right? AI understands what is in your store, what's the data that we've taken out of your store, and it will map it automatically to the appropriate field that is required by Google or any other channels. Now, I was mentioning already, it will extract colors and sizes from, for example, your description. If you don't have them in the right attribute field anyway, categorize it. It will rewrite your descriptions in better English. Yeah. It sounds funny for me. I'm the guy with Jack.
I don't know what you mean.
A lot of the listeners are native, but then still, we see a lot of descriptions that are written in readable, proper English, but it's not great. Often it's like too long. It's like winding. So AI will say, okay, you got like this much the text. We'll make it this much. It's to the point. It's clear. It's well written and all of that. Even though description isn't that powerful in terms of your ROI, like for example, Tybo. People love it. People love the fact that the descriptions are now like better written, more concise, and what have you. So retailers don't have time to worry about all of that. Did I map all my feeds? Do I have all my colors? It's not get the feed out and what have you. And on top of that, the retailers are the average retailer is not really specialized in data feed optimization. He doesn't know what the best practices are for title, for custom label, for what have you, you know? Whereas we all understand that the title format for a dress is different than the title format for a fridge or for a book, right?
Yeah.
So you mentioned we have trained our AI to deal with like 200 different product types and work with best practices for that.
How does it handle, let's say, obviously we're talking about feeds. Feed is the umbrella, but feeds for all the different channels. We talk about Google Shopping, Facebook, Amazon. You know, how does the AI sort of optimize those maybe differently where it's needed?
That's a very good question. So first of all, tiny disclaimer. We've launched it. We're very happy with it. But we're zooming in right now on Google and Facebook feeds in English. Right? So we're in the process of adding more channels and more languages, but that's what we have today. We'll have more tomorrow. And obviously, when talking to our AI, when explaining how life works in Feedland to AI, we've also explained that something simple like the Google title can be a max of 150 characters, right? For Facebook, it's something else. If you advertise on Facebook, then your title and the information that you show should be more generic, right? It's John. People are seeing an ad that they didn't ask for on the site while they're browsing the timeline on Facebook. So you do something generic. It doesn't have to be the exact right size in the exact same color and what have you. Whereas on Google, you should, right? So all of that experience, like the feed requirements from the various channels, the experience that we as experts have in how to compile the right title, the right description, and what have you, has all been fed, trained to our AI model. And that's how we deal with it to make sure that you're not going to get a Google title on your Facebook. You will not get the wrong number of characters in your description for the wrong channel, right? So it's all taken care of.
Yeah, very interesting. We've recently been using the AI function, and we've got a newer client that's got probably close to about 200,000 SKUs. I think it's somewhere there. I think it's 60,000, but in 3 different locations, sort of thing. And I know the guys have been raving about the AI capabilities of your tool. So brilliant. But so when we think about quality with DataFeedWatch, obviously there's a lot of options out there, feed wise. How is the quality with DataFeedWatch? Sort of the output of the AI. We were talking before we came on. There's a lot. There are issues with AI, depending on, use the word AI, but depending on which LLMs you use. Obviously, back in the day, definitely they're getting better and better. But all sorts of quirky, shall we say, issues with outputs. How does DataFeedWatch stand up?
Now, you might be looking for an SEO boost, a down-to-earth digital PR campaign to share your story, or maybe just some straightforward technical help to amp up your performance. Now, that's where eCom Now comes in. A partner that's all about making things easier for your online store. Our services cover everything from creating professional content for your e-commerce categories to refining your product descriptions. Now, whether you're just starting out or have been in it for a while, we're here to deliver real impactful results that add to your bottom line without unnecessary commitments. You can order one-off or multiple projects with a quick turnaround. Simply choose what you need.
Well, I was expecting the question, and I realized that if I say that our quality is great, that wouldn't come across as a very objective remark. So I'll try to answer your question in more objective terms. Everyone who signs up to DataFeedWatch today will be offered AI instantly, right? People add their shop, connect their shop to DataFeedWatch, and then most of the time, the first channel that they create is Google, and AI is already there, right? So if we look at the adoption of one or more AI attributes, AI-generated fields attributes that they use, the adoption rate is like 85%. So that's like way higher than I was hoping for to begin, right? But people really like it. Some will, on different levels, right? Some people will like really appreciate the output, like you were describing. And there's people that are, maybe SMBs, they need the feed, they sign up, and then title, optimize, sure, okay, fine, right? and they click save, right? So they enter DataFeedWatch, they connect the store, they say, I want to advertise Google, and then AI will create a complete feed, completely auto-mapped with AI. The obvious fields like title, description, color, size, being optimized. All they need to do is click save, and they're done. That's part of the same adoption rate, and that's part of, let's say, our promise that will make it high quality, very low effort. Just click save, and you're done. Anyway, so adoption rate is a number, and that's objective, and the adoption rate is very high. People didn't like it, they would switch it off. Adoption rate would be like 45, not 85. In general, we can obviously, for example, extract colors and sizes from other fields, and then check if they're right. If you've done it correctly. So the quality there is in the 90%, right? Which is like really high, and trust me, we'll never get it to 100, right? Because there's like fancy color names or like obscure
and anti-AI brigade.
So if it's in the 90%, it's like super high, and I guarantee you it is. If you think, well, hey, it's 90%, that's not really high enough, in your source feed, it's going to be much lower. And you're not going to manually change it, not even with a good rule in DataFeedWatch, right? Unless you have the time to sort through 10,000 products and check out the columns and size. So it's 90+% is like really good. Which go to the description already mentioned. People really like it. Description is harder to say. Well, the quality is good or it's not, right? It's but in general, it's being improved. It's being more concise. AI adds keywords to your description and your titles. It's better written. Title is, it's my personal favorite because it has such a big impact on your campaign ROI. What I can say is the titles are usually better than the original. They're more enriched. So it really has benefit to let AI do the job. And maybe more importantly, very, very rarely do you see hallucinations, right? When managing the quality of our titles, we started way back when with making better titles, but for the past, 3 to 6 months, our focus has been not on how do we make a title better, because it's already pretty good. How do we make sure that the title isn't stupid, isn't something that's right? We don't want crazy surprises, and there are very few hallucinations that we see. So if we combine all that, I have to say I'm very happy with the quality that we have today. And at the same time, we're going to continue to work on quality, not for the next month, but like forever. Always better tweaks. There's always bigger, higher quality. And with if it's like 95%, then we still have like 5% to go, right?
I think that's the beauty, though, isn't it? The speed, I think, when we think about AI as a whole, the things that we were doing, with AI, probably 18 months ago, probably when we really started to think, we have to do and explore, and the quality of outputs, just say on content, for example, it was okay, and then 6 months later, it's flipping pretty good, 6 months later, oh my gosh, this is incredible. Now we can mix this with this and layer this in and extract this data and, and now it's like unrecognizable from even 8 months ago, the outputs that we can get for different, more so on content. So in terms of, your outputs now, obviously it's already very good, and, I've proofs in the pudding, my guys are raving on, obviously we've worked with you guys for, I think 7+ years now. So obviously very exciting to see where it, there's little 1-2%, because I think, you obviously talked about titles a lot, and quite often they're just left, aren't they? They're just left, they're not re-optimized. But when AI is doing that heavy lifting for you, when you've got those thousands, tens and tens of thousands of products, absolute advantage. Yeah,
no, absolutely. And we'll see a lot of progress, in general in AI for the next years to come. And that is what makes this so exciting. We move forward at this incredible speed.
I think it's an interesting, slight off topic, but we as a business, obviously agency working with hundreds of e-com brands, running their ads as one side of the business. But we've built within our business recently, last few months, like an AI council. There's 6 of us in this group, and we met yesterday actually, and all 6 of the people represent different areas of the business: sales, marketing, tech, SEO, content, and myself. And looking at some of the things we're working on is just like so exciting. It's so exciting and so exciting for our clients and our merchants, our clients. What we're doing for them now, the ideas that we've got, and this is just brilliant. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant, in such a short space of time. So I think the people that are listening that are with us now, what have you embraced in your e-com store? There's a lot of things, where we're talking about the way that you are doing your, obviously we're talking about feeds and marketing here, but what are you doing in your sort of AI stack in the wider context? It's very exciting times.
Yeah, and still, Richard, as let's say the entire industry is warming up to AI and is letting go of the curve, there is still a lot of fear, and there are still reasons why people are not using it, and that may be just as interesting to address as reasons why people should do it, right? So, funny enough, there's a few reasons. The number one item is I can do it better myself. I'm not gonna let AI do it. I can do it better myself, right? Or I have reviewed your AI titles and I found something that's not consistent, right? I found like 2 products that are identical, but they're different colors, right? And then the color was not in the same place.
Yeah.
Sure, that happens. That doesn't make it a bad title. The thing is, to everyone that says I can do it better, I will say, yes, you can. No doubt about it. You are smart. You are eloquent. You know your shit. I'm as much as I'm excited about AI, I believe in humans, right? I believe that we are more creative. We can do everything. So it's right. It's right. Yes, you can. However, if you are an agency guy working on the feed for a customer with 10,000 products, do you have the time to create rules to extract all the colors that could possibly be in your feed and make that list? Do you have the time to browse every one of those 10,000 descriptions for useful information that's hidden in there? Not just colors and size, but material, certain characteristics, use case, whatever, keywords. Do you?
Yeah.
No, you don't. You don't, right? And then if you let AI do it, and you would actually have the time to browse to 10,000 products, or only if you take the time to look at 3 samples of 50 products, then yes, you would find a few where you would have done it better. But then the entire feed generated by AI is going to be so much better than if you had spent the time yourself, right? It's like self-driving car. I don't know. Maybe it's a bad analogy, but people fear self-driving cars because they drive themselves. If something happens, so people could die. Then again, if we would only have self-driving cars,
well, less people die probably.
Exactly. People would still be dying, but overall, it would probably the number of casualties would be cut in half. If not by 75%.
Yeah.
So look, if you're working on like 1,000 products for like a global brand, don't use AI, right? You're being paid big bucks to manage the campaign and the feed. It's worthwhile to keep total control, make sure that 100% is right. But you let AI drive it, then 90% is like really, really good, and much better than you had in the first place. There's like 5%, 6-7% where you would have done a better job. That doesn't make it bad. And then maybe like a few percent, we're like, this is sort of up. I don't really like it. So overall, that's like up from having a feed that was only like 50% correct, 25% so-so, and 25% with
I think that's totally, as you say, it's sort of across AI when you think about, rewriting product descriptions for your store. You've got 20,000 product descriptions. If that's done correct, that's done very well with AI, or not done at all, which are you going to choose? Or you're just going to do it manually. You might do the first 50 products and then get busy, do the first 1,000 products, get busy, and not do them all. So yeah, no, totally with you. So obviously new tools coming out all the time. Obviously we're a hard and fast DataFeedWatch fan agency, but obviously there are other companies out there doing different things, and other agencies doing different things. But are you seeing many other agencies and feed tools using the AI and sort of in feed optimization?
Not a lot. Some. We as a company, we made it our mission to be the first data feed optimization service that would have AI-driven capabilities, and we came to market first. So I'm very proud of that. And we're beginning to see some. First of all, okay. So FeedGen in the GMC was there already.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So Google was slightly faster than what a miracle. But FeedGen is not. FeedGen is complicated. It still requires a lot of manual labor. You need to prove and rate every item. So FeedGen probably also works. It's just that you as a customer are being a guinea pig for Google. You're basically being like a mechanical Turk doing learning for Google, right?
Yeah.
Whereas we are the probably the only feed provider at the moment where AI is embedded. You can say, I want AI, you switch it on, and it's done. Or I want some of it, but not all of it. You can play around, but at least there's no extra work. It's completely automated. And I think that's where we are really in the lead. I'm beginning to see some other tools with some AI solutions, but so far we are ahead of the game.
Yeah, that's as I expect. That's why we're still 7 years. I said it 5 times now. 7 times. I keep saying to Andy, who's my colleague, he's worked with me for 25 years. He is your biggest fan, I tell you. He's like, DataFeedWatch. Yeah, I think you'd like when you said nobody gets up in the morning and thinks I'm going to optimize my feed. That guy does get up in the morning and says, "Can you optimize? I'm going to optimize my feed."
Yeah, no, that's great, and that's very good for your customers because he's laying the perfect foundation for the campaigns that he's for your customers.
We had a client work with us about 3 years ago, and we did about a 6-month project with them on the feed, and then it went back to their US team, and then recently we got that client back to take over everything, and their commercial director came into the office probably just before Christmas a couple of months ago and said, "Oh, Andy, I'm so glad you're back on our feeds." He was like jumping for joy because Andy's back on his feeds. He's like, Andy's the feed guy. Absolutely obsessed with your tech.
So to have a lot of customers like you that have been with us for like many years, we've cooperated with, and that's great.
Yeah. So I guess sort of crystal ball time. Obviously we're talking very much about AI, but emerging trends that you're seeing with AI that are likely to shape the future of feed management for retailers more and more. Obviously we've talked about a lot of things there, but things that you're maybe on the cusp of, or things that you see where AI and feeds are going.
Well, funny enough, I have the crystal ball right next to me here on my desk. Just before the interview started. I think that we're going to see, first we're going to see we're all going to go much deeper on the kind of functionality that we have today. It will get better and better and better. And one trend we'll see is that we'll continue to provide more, even more control for the customers. So as I said, we just create, for example, your title and it's there.
Yeah.
Still, we're going to step up our game on providing more tools to you to make modifications or even optimizations or changes to that without it being something very cumbersome, right? We want to steer clear of cumbersome and tedious.
Yeah.
I think that let's say in our data feed field, images is like the next thing. Yeah. So obviously, we're seeing a lot of AI examples in imaging in general, from complete videos of Trump talking to Putin, and what looks and sounds real, right?
Yeah.
So the technology is there, but we're gonna see that in data optimization as well, because after all, your product ad consists for like 75 to 80% of the space of an image. The image has to be like really good. It has to be compelling. It has to be correct.
That's going to be a big one, isn't it, for disapprovals? That's going to be a big one for helping with the disapprovals, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, because you accidentally put like text over every one of your images, and now they're all being disapproved. Wouldn't it be great?
Yeah.
That would be, hey, AI, take all the text that I accidentally put over my, take it out.
Yeah.
Now, bang, it's done.
Those merchants that spent months watermarking all their images, and now they're like,
Exactly. So there's a month of work that you should be able to get rid of with a single click. So there's a whole world behind the images that we're going to see increase in importance. Even this year, everything will happen fast. And then I think the other AI-driven trend that I see for our industry is a deeper connection between the feed quality and analytics in general. Right? We can we're feeding and training our AI with best practices and a lot of other data. But if you have really a large data set with analytics, it's also going to be an important driver, right? So what if AI just finds out that if you put the word red in a title, it actually converts 10% better, right? So I think that's where AI on a much broader scale will impact data feed optimization as well. So
what about something springs to mind when you say that, like cost of goods data, and profitability, because ultimately, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Usually, is running a profitable business, but obviously more and more successful merchants, I think, have got cost of goods in their, in their CRM in the back end, but then using that cost of goods data costs, with AI to adjust things based on profitability. Is that something that you're exploring?
Absolutely. That is also part of it. Of course, using cost of goods sold is something that every retailer can already put to work. It's just that most retailers don't have that data in their shop or in their ERP or whatever it is that they use. So, I mean, that's the condition to move forward. But I think that, and that's almost like beyond data feed optimization, but attribution and subsequently media mix modeling, where they put the budget, that is really the next frontier. And I'm amazed still that we're all just looking at Google Analytics and saying, okay, Google Analytics says this and that, right? Or we look at Google Ads and Facebook Merchant, and there's no attribution, right? So when you sold 100 items, and then you take the data from Google, Facebook, and something else, and say you sold 300 items, right? I mean, basic problems like that still exist. There's a increasingly cookie-less society that makes it even harder. So AI is going to play a role there in providing way better data, so you can take like way better decisions. Again, AI will never provide you with 100% correct data, but AI will be able to take that to a 90-95% correctness. Whereas today, without you knowing it, you're lucky to have like 60% correctness and 40% guesswork.
Yeah. Very exciting.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally.
So I think we've covered a lot of ground. When we think about 18 months ago when we spoke, we never used the word AI back then, once, and obviously now the capabilities that you've, mastered already. But I think, when we think about our audience that are listening, they're small, medium-sized, sort of sub, that's quite a broad spectrum, but sub sort of 30 mil turnover is our sort of market, 1, 5, 10, 20, 30, these milestones that we're sort of pushing our clients past and through these plateaus. These clients that, they're not these big, large, massive, £100 million a year, dollar, depending on where you're listening, dollars, euros, whatever. How can these medium-sized players really harness and benefit from the AI side of feeds over some of the sort of bigger players?
Yeah, well, as long as, when the internet started in general, we started to use the word democratize, and using AI in feeds is another type of democratization, meaning that, I just gave this example earlier, right? A very large brand, they may not even have like 50,000 products. They may have like a couple of thousand, but they have a global turnover that goes in the millions, if not billions.
Yeah.
And they have, with an advertising budget like that, they have dozens and dozens of people to optimize their campaigns and their feeds. And they did actually take the time to optimize every field in their output feed. And so, for example, maybe Nike is doing it manually and you got the perfect feed, and then you are a medium-sized retailer that is selling Nike shoes. How could you ever compete, right? Well, now you can, because all the time that Nike spent in trying to optimize something manually, you can now do with a single click. And that puts you, on par with the larger players. So this is definitely leveling the playing fields for SMB retailers and smaller instances.
Yeah, no, it's very exciting, very exciting. So AI, feeds and agencies. Obviously, we're an agency. We work with you guys, and where do you think agencies will be when it comes to feeds and AI? In the future, will they be obsolete? Will they not be needed if the AI is that good? What do you say to that? I shouldn't probably be asking you that question, but let's do it.
I got bad news, agencies. You're all going to die.
Delete this episode.
We get it. Obviously that is not the case, and you've been saying very nice things about AI at DataFeedWatch, and so do many other agencies. And as a matter of fact, we had a PPC survey last year among I think over 1,000 PPC advertisers, large ones in the Americas and in Europe. And one of the questions was, what is on your wish list for data feed optimization, right? Well, guess what the first item was? It was AI. Agencies want AI because agencies often, more than the actual customer, understand that the feed is the foundation. And even if they don't get paid for optimizing the feed, they're going to have to do it because the agency understands that if I want to impress my customer with an increased ROAS, I'll never achieve that if I don't get the basics right. So even unpaid agencies will work on that and spend a lot of time when acquiring new customer to get it right. And I go back, other than Andy myself, no one gets up in the morning to optimize things. So agencies, before we launched it, I spoke to numerous agencies, and they said, "Look, if we need to pay you extra for it, that's fine, because we're going to save so much money and time if you're able to come up with a good AI automation." So no, agencies love our AI,
totally.
and now they can spend their valuable time on more strategic items, strategy for the feed, strategy for the campaigns, and what have you. So, and let's not forget, the one thing that AI is unlikely to do anytime soon is to really understand the business and the problems of your customers.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
That's still a conversation between the human from the agency and the human from the customer.
Yeah.
So basically AI-driven feeds will increase the quality while saving a lot of time, so that the expensive time of agencies can be spent on a much higher level.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everyone wins in that situation.
Yeah. We're okay. We're okay for a bit longer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. Obviously, as I wouldn't have had you on, would I? I'm not that stupid. Well, Jack, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I think, a lot to think about there. I think listeners that have stayed with us for the whole 40 minutes, obviously reach out to our team, to Jack's team, and we can explore some of this for you. But before we finish, I always like to end, as you might remember, on a book recommendation. Do you have a new book to recommend to our listeners, Jack?
Yeah, well, the book that I'm going to recommend is not that new, but it's not that long ago that I read it. And it's, topic-wise, it's perfect timing, is the Walter Isaacson bio of Elon Musk.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I've obviously that bio and talking about Musk is like way more controversial today, which makes it nicer. For some stuff, you get the warning like, don't try this at home. So I say, don't, read the bio. I think it's fascinating. Yeah. Don't try to be like him. Probably don't want to do it, but then still it is fascinating what the journey that this guy has made. And as crazy as some of his behavior currently is, there are learnings from this book. Now, what I like most is that his saying that the factory is actually the product, right? So it's not that hard to come up with a product that is interesting, like maybe a car that runs on electricity, and put some batteries in. But to create a factory that can mass produce that, that is really right. And then the fact that we always were fascinated by Steve Jobs. We did like Apple, and he did Pixar, and did something else. And Musk has like, other than now that he's running the entire US government by himself, he has like 7 or 8 companies that he founded, that he still owns, that are worth billions of dollars each. So it's, whether you like it or not, it is fascinating, and there's always to be learned. So I enjoyed that book very much.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for that. We'll link that up and I'll get that ordered. So, Jack, thank you so much for joining us for the second time. For those that want to reach out to you and to DataFeedWatch, what's the best way to do that?
DataFeedWatch.com, and it will tell you everything that we have to offer, contact details, and what have you. So, and remember, we do free trials, so you can try it out for free. We do onboardings, we do demos. So anything you'd like to know, but we're afraid to ask, go to our site, shoot us an email or make an appointment, and we'll help you to progress.
Brilliant. Or reach out to Andy at Econ1, who is your biggest fan.
There you go. If you want data optimization and a human to overlook it that really knows the ropes.
Both worlds, go
to Andy. Absolutely.
Well, thanks, Jack. We'll see you again in 18 months. Hopefully it is you and not an AI version of you by then. But we'll see where we are in 18 months and see what new things you guys are working on. All right.
Well, thank you very much for having me. And I already look forward to my third appearance on the Upgrade.
I'll see you in a year and a half. Goodbye.
Alrighty. Cheers.
If you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe or follow button wherever you are listening to this podcast, so you're always the first to know when a new episode is released. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you on the next one.